Hey folks, have you taken your super male vitality today? Just kidding. Hey folks, this is Sean with the CubeCast. I wanted to get into this mass shooting that happened earlier today, coming out of Hanau, Germany, which is a town in central Germany. The mass shooting was perpetrated by the guy you see at the top of the screen there. His name is Tobias Rathjen, a German resident. And a little backstory on the incident today. He went around to random hookah shops in Germany. If you don't know what a hookah shop is, it's a place. It's kind of like a lounge type place, bar almost, where people go and smoke flavored tobacco out of these hookah pipes. They serve tea, stuff like that, drinks, maybe a little food. Anyway, it's no secret in Germany, as well as here in the United States, people who frequent these shops are generally people of Middle Eastern descent, Muslim people who adhere to the Islamic faith. So I would imagine there's no doubt that this guy was targeting Muslims on purpose. And the reason why I'm calling my feelers, my red flag is up on this one. I'm not saying I know what happened, but the reason my red flag is up is because if you watch this guy's manifesto, he doesn't give any reference to Muslims in his manifesto that surfaced after the shooting. I can't show you the picture from the top of the screen is actually from the manifesto that surfaced after the shooting that he made. I can't show you the manifesto because YouTube keeps taking it down. And I'll get into what he said in the manifesto in a second. But anyway, he ended up killing 11 people so far that have died. Another half dozen or so were injured. He used a firearm. He just kind of targeted these random shops, but it's clear that he was targeting people of the Islamic faith. So in the manifesto video that surfaced, if you want to watch it, there is a version up on BitChute, or if you are willing to wade through the sewer on 4chan, they've got mirror sites up there that you can see versions of it on. Maybe LiveLeak might have it, but either way, if you go on 4chan on poll, be very careful. It's super racist, and there's a lot of screwed up stuff that is very offensive to most people, including myself. But if I need to see something that's banned from YouTube, which is getting more common nowadays, I will subject myself to some of the horrors of 4chan because there is actually some decent news on there if you can wade through all the bullshit. So anyway, in his manifesto, this guy makes references to deep... Okay, now this guy is a German citizen, okay? This attack happened in Germany. The entire manifesto video made reference to deep underground military bases in the United States and the need for people in the... He was egging people on in the United States to go attack these deep underground military bases. For one, that would be a suicide mission. I don't understand what his angle is here, which is why the false flag, alarm is going off in my head right now with this one, and I'll tell you why. So he made a reference to deep underground military bases, which if a lot of people aren't aware of these bases, we have a huge black budget, means we have a lot of missing money every year in the United States. Trillions of dollars goes missing every year, stuff that the military can't account for, and many sane credentialed military whistleblowers have came out and stated that a lot of this money is going into these deep underground military bases, these nuclear powered boring machines. They're actually building cities underneath the ground, where they're working on various, there's going to be some top secret, legit military black projects, as well as probably some seriously nefarious shit going on underground as well. Not to mention, probably they're building some fallout shelters for the one percenters in the country as well, so that they can kind of continue civilization if we ever have a nuclear incident, nuclear war, or if we have some sort of alien invasion where the people up there just get sick of us and decide to flood the place again. We have no idea. But anyway, these military bases definitely exist. I've seen pictures of the boring machines. They're not making milkshakes down there. They are moving some serious dirt underground. So this guy made reference to that. it's weird because in the video he's talking about the U.S. I don't know why. He's over in Germany, so his country is a member of the European Union, which is one of the most evil globalist organizations slash entities in the world. I have no idea why he didn't get into the stuff that was going on with the European Union or some of the reptiles that are in charge of the European Union. He made no reference. All the references in his video were to the fact that we've got these underground bases in the United States, that he wanted people to attack the bases because there was a whole bunch of evil stuff going on underground in these bases, which is probably true, but the video just seems very strange. So my false flag sensors are up on this one, and the reason is because if you've done as much research as I have on the alien presence, the kind of UFO subject, a lot of people in the UFO community are going to be familiar with these. They call them D.U.M.s, D.U.M.B, deep underground military bases. This is where a lot of this top secret stuff goes on. It does have a connection to the extraterrestrial presence on this planet. So this guy clearly has either read books or watched some videos on the subject and got it into his head that this was, I just don't understand the attack. I don't understand how he can correlate with the evil military bases in the U.S. with going around and attacking random Muslims in Germany. It makes absolutely no sense. And that's why I think that this could be a false flag. And meaning sometimes they get these think tanks and some of these three-letter agencies and they find a way to control these narratives, or kind of if they want to demonize a subject or they want people to quit talking about something, what they'll do is they'll rile up one of these people that they know are mentally ill, like this guy clearly is. If you watch his video, he also has other videos. He does make reference to aliens and stuff like that. So when some of these globalist reptiles want you to stop talking about something, what do? They'll get some lunatic like this to go shoot a place up, a bunch of Muslims, which makes no sense, and then suddenly this manifesto video surfaces where he's talking about military bases. So now everyone who believes in the alien subject and deep underground military bases is going to go shoot up a bunch of Muslims, right? That's how this stuff works a lot of the time. I'm not saying that in this case because I have absolutely no idea, but the fact that it makes no sense. Just like we see some of these false flags in the United States with these shootings, a lot of people, sometimes when these shooters don't commit suicide after these mass shootings, a lot of them, including James Holmes, the guy who shut up the movie theater in Aurora, told investigators that he was involved in one of these these psychological warfare type experiments that was going on. He actually claimed that he was part of a DARPA project. So I'm not saying it. That's what he told investigators. So, if you want to take a country like in America that's awash with guns and you want to get them out of people's hands, then you rile up a bunch of people who are mentally ill to go shoot up schools and malls and stuff like that until you can shame people enough to, going along with gun confiscation legislation, because the reptiles, they don't want people to have guns. They don't want Americans to be able to defend themselves from them. I mean, that's the end goal, right? So anyway, I'm not going to get off on a rant about the gun control, issue in America or globally. It's, we all know a lot of people understand what's going on with that. Obviously, not every mass shooting is a false flag. Some people are just legitimately psycho and they want to hurt people. But I'm just saying sometimes things aren't what they appear to be. Sometimes. So the guy down at the bottom of the screen there, he's some of the information that this mass shooter guy here, this Tobias guy, I'm positive by the way he was talking in his manifesto video that he has watched videos from Phil Schneider. And Phil Schneider is the guy that you see at the bottom of the screen there. He's an icon in the UFO. If you're a member of the UFO community, you know who Phil Schneider is. Phil Schneider, I don't remember the year. This was maybe the 80s that he was found dead slash maybe murdered. Anyway, towards the end, around the time of his death or around the end of his life, Phil Schneider down there, and if you see him holding up his left hand, you see that he's missing 3 fingers on his left hand. He claimed that those 3 fingers got zapped off his hand by aliens while he was down inside of one of these DUMBs, these underground military bases. So Phil is the guy that put the Dulce, New Mexico underground military base on the map. Okay, now Phil is he's a geoengineer. This is not some dummy. This guy is sharp as a razor. He's a geoengineer. He was helping the military design and build these underground military bases. He's the one that figures out the rock structure and where they can dig and where they can't dig and what they need to dig and all this other stuff. This guy was completely legit. You can watch interviews with his wife, who supported him all the way up until his death. And she verifies a lot of his credentials that he was working on top secret military projects with these huge nuclear powered boring machines that were digging these tunnels and areas underground for the military. And anyway, Phil there claims that during one of these excavations around, I think he was talking around Dulce, New Mexico, he claims there's a base, a huge underground military base, like 10 levels deep, under the Archuleta Mesa. And while they were boring this base out, that they stumbled onto an already existing burrowed out cavern where a bunch of aliens that had been living in this kind of hollow earth type area before humanity was even basically thought of, that they broke through the cavity, and there was some sort of war. He said there was a bunch of military special ops with him that ended up being pulled in down there, and there was a firefight. A bunch of people got killed. He said a bunch of military folks got killed. He got the 3 fingers on his hand zapped off by one of these creatures or whatever. I don't know if I believe Phil or not. The story sounds very convincing, and this man is credentialed. You can verify his background. He is who he says he is. This isn't some guy that just popped out of nowhere and started making up all these stories. Whether he went crazy towards the end of his life, I don't know. But anyway, Phil did a couple lectures towards the end of his life. He came out with this information about this war, and then coincidentally, shortly after he spilled the beans on this war that happened under the Archuleta Mesa, Phil was found dead. I think it was in a hotel room. They said that he committed suicide by strangling himself, but some of the people who looked at his body, it said it looked more like that he was strangled with some sort of cord or something wrapped around his neck. So if Phil was telling the truth about what was going on in New Mexico, then of course the military does have ways to dispose of you, which is sending in some sort of military contractor to come in and murder you. I mean, that's what they obviously they're capable of doing that. If they tag something with national security, there's really nothing that they won't do. So, they will murder people and claim that it's because they're trying to save lives. So one life, say Phil Schneider's life, is worth saving the lives of thousands of people if their secret gets out, right? That's how they justify things. That's probably how they justified 9/11, as well as a bunch of other shit that they've pulled off in the past. But anyway, I'm not going to get into the whole 9/11 thing. Phil has got... So anyway, this guy up top here, this Tobias guy, I'm sure he's watched at least one of Phil's videos because he makes reference to the evil stuff going on under these bases. But there's been other military whistleblowers that have also spilled the beans on the fact that we've got bases under the ground, that we're boring all the time, and that's where a lot of this missing this missing money every year that the U.S. government can't account for. A lot of these military whistleblowers have said that the majority of the money besides is going into some of these projects. It's just a super expensive endeavor, and they're not making milkshakes down there, folks. I'm sure they're conducting some legitimate top secret operations, but I can guarantee you they're doing some shit down in these bases that would give most people pause if they knew what was actually going on. So anyway, this guy up top here, for whatever reason, went around and he killed 11 people because he thought that the bases in the United States were evil and needed to be attacked. If you can put that one together, more power to you. I have no idea how these things are related. Shooting up, hookah shops, and drawing attention to the problem that we have over here in the United States with these top secret black projects, which are definitely a problem. But this guy, he's in the European Union. Obviously, those folks are evil as shit. They're globalists. They don't care about their own citizens. You think we're bad over here in the United States as far as what is being withheld from people here, and the money that's being stole, that's being spent on stuff that most people would not agree with. I would imagine the European Union is even worse. So that's why I'm like, did they have to use somebody over in Germany because they didn't have an operative over here to demonize people who were into the alien subject, or who were exposing these deep underground military bases? Maybe there's an event coming up that we aren't aware of. Maybe they were worried because somebody stumbled onto something that they shouldn't, and so they were sending a message to shut it down. Because after this, people who talk about this stuff, right? People are going to be like, oh, you're one of those crazy people who believe in those deep underground military bases. What are you going to do? Go shoot up a bunch of Muslims? I mean, it just sounds so made up, like they just came up with the most politically incorrect thing they could find that would trigger a bunch of people. That's what it sounds like to me. It doesn't even sound real. I could be wrong. There's plenty of schizophrenics in the world. There's plenty of people who legitimately are going around killing people. It just, if you watch this video, it makes absolutely no sense. I'm completely perplexed on this one. I don't know what to think. The gears are turning up there, and I just don't get it. But anyway, you can watch this guy's manifesto on BitChute. It's only a couple minutes long, but he does have other videos out there. I'm sure his social media has been scrubbed by now. If he was an operative, I don't know. And then if you guys want to know a little bit about the deep underground military bases, Phil Schneider's videos are on YouTube. There's 2 important lectures that became most famous before his suicide/murder, yet to be determined. And you can listen to him talk. He talks for about an hour, and he talks about the incident at Dulce, New Mexico, under the Archuleta Mesa, and a couple different. He's just kind of at like a hotel, and he's talking to like maybe 100 people in the audience, and everyone's just sitting there like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? It's totally crazy what he's saying. But if it is true, then I would imagine they did end up disposing of him, so he would shut the fuck up about it. Anyway, yeah, that's the deal. So Hanau, Germany, mass shooting. The guy killed a bunch of Muslims because we have underground bases in the USA. If you can believe that one, like I said, more power to you. Thanks for watching.